Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Friday morning, guys. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well this season. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Friday morning, guys. Really quick word. I think we shall see. Any day now. Any day now. Any day now. Okay, so I'm going to hit this from a couple of different angles. So for some of you, you are in one of the most darkest seasons that you've ever experienced in your life. This season, it seems as if everything that could have happened bad happened to you, and you may be down in this funk. That is a very, very, very dangerous season to be in. That is a season where the enemy will literally get into your head and make you feel full of hopelessness, despair, and you will literally think that there's no way out. In fact, you can't even see a way out. All you see around you is darkness. And then it comes from different areas. It's one thing if you get hit with one area. Let's just say the enemy started attacking your finances, right? But you still have a job, and you still have family and great friends and support, and you still have a car, right? But for some, he will start attacking every area. So he's attacking your finances. You lost the car because you couldn't pay for it, right? You may be staying with a friend, and then they put you out because whatever reason, you might be having some health issues. Your family is crazy. Just everything. Absolutely everything that could go wrong has went wrong. And you are in this season where you cannot see your way out. In fact, you feel as if no one gets it, no one will understand. So I'm just going to hold all this stuff in. I'm not going to even ask anybody to help me because I'm tired of people throwing things up in my face, etc., 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 etc. So I want to reach those group of people. Well, I want to reach anybody actually, but those group of people as well as the other individuals who may not be in that season. You may have already experienced that season in your past, and this is why it's important to also go back and to help others, because you know at some point how it was when you were there, and now you're on the whole other side. You're somewhere in due season, enjoying all your blessings, but don't forget about the people who are struggling in those seasons that you once were. Give them hope to let them know that any day now, literally. But on the flip side, to those individuals who you're not in that season where it seems like everything is getting snatching, including your edges, but you're just in a posture of waiting for something, the promise, the blessing, the revelation, the vision, whatever. So you're just in a posture of waiting, but you're not struggling, if you will, in that sense. For you as well, any day now. Any day now. In fact, the days are so close that you should be in expecting mode, right? Now, the difference is you're not out here seeking and trying to make it happen like you did. God already, clamped that off probably somewhere, in the middle of the this last season, or when he allowed you to come to the end of yourself. So you'll realize now that there's a different posture where you are. You're not full of anxiety. You're not trying to make it work. You're not trying to understand what God is going to do, when he's going to do it. Instead, you are just in a posture of confidence, in a posture of expecting. Any day now. Any day now. If you're in the latter part, which is again, just you're not dealing with a lot of warfare, if you will, but you're just expecting, be very careful that the weight didn't allow you to become so comfortable where you're still not up on your game, right? Any day now. So go back to those downloads. Go back to the tips and things that God has given you, right? So you can don't get too comfortable. Get back to that place of a spirit of excellence. And so that way, when it does approach you, when that phone call comes in, when you bump into that person, when they call you about that application, when they call you and say, okay, I know it's been 9 months and we had your application, but now, we have a lender for you, right? Get in that posture where you still are confident, but not too, because again, if you're not careful, the weight can really kind of just make you get to a point of, listen, it just is what it is. Like, I'm not all excited. And in fact, that is part of the process. That's why God allows us to wait, because if he releases certain things to you and you're still in that state of, you're filled with anxiety and you're just trying to frantically make it, he can't use you properly like that, because you can't even hear. So whatever he needs to get to you, for you to say, for you to do when he opens the door, you can't even receive those downloads properly, because you're just too much up in your own flesh and you're in his way. So even though we may frustrate ourselves because the wait just seems like it's too long, it's truly for our benefit. So now when you're face to face with that thing, now when you answer that call, you can hear clearly what God is telling you, because your spirit is settled. But just don't get content to the point that you feel like, well, I have it now. So no. You gotta get yourself back to when you had that excitement, not anxiety, when you had that excitement about it and you were all giddy and happy, right? Go back to your journal. Go back to your vision board. Go back to the first day you received that download, right? Go back to it. Go back to those tips when God told you, all right, when I do open the door, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Present this. Say this. Don't say this. Or in fact, wait on me before you say anything, right? Go back to all those downloads and tips that you jotted down throughout the journey, throughout the process. Don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable that when it happens, you're just going to let God fall to the wayside, because now you got it and you can just take it from here. God will snatch it right on back. I promise you, he will snatch it right on back. You're still going to have to depend on God 100%, even when that thing is in your hands. Don't forget God. Don't forget God. Backtracking to my individuals who are in that very, very dark place. Any day now. Any day now. Any day now, you can receive that call for the new job. Any day now, you can get a download in your spirit and God can tell you, right? And truth of the matter is, he's probably been telling you it, but when you're in a season like that, it's like, you can hear nothing. You're just in survivor mode. So you're just trying to make it through the day. Like, you're just trying to make it through the day. So many times God will be giving you your downloads, what you need, but because you're still in that frantic state and you haven't really settled your nerve or come to the end of yourself. And come to the end of yourself just means you've tried every single thing to the point where you finally realize and get it, like, no matter what I try, I just need to sit down somewhere and just chill out, because obviously everything I've tried, nothing has worked, and obviously it's not going to work. When you get to the end of yourself, this is when you can truly hear God clearly. And God may come back to you and say, well, the reason why I dried everything up, that relationship, that job, that this, I let your car get, because I'm trying to relocate you. I need you in a whole nother state. And you're trying to make the old job take you back, right? You're pounding on their doors so they can give you a second time. All because you don't even believe in yourself. You don't believe in me to know that I'm trying to give you better. But you're so content on some place that you're not even happy because you're comfortable. The enemy has already shaken your confidence so bad that you really think you can't even get better. So you're trying to go back to this old ran through relationship that has already, that relationship been dead 55 years ago. Like, you're trying to go back to every single thing that God has removed. And you're burning yourself out and you're in this depression because God won't make this thing work. It's not going to work. Not if God is about to elevate you to a higher season. I don't care how much you cry, kick, and scream. You are not going back. Trust me. Been there, done that. But it wasn't until I came to the end of myself after trying to, run myself crazy some years ago. And I didn't even understand that God was trying to elevate me. God will bring you out your comfort zone. Because oh, honey, when you get any day now, but when you get to where God is taking you, you're going to look back and you're just going to laugh at yourself. And you're going to just think like, what if I had just refused, like absolutely refused to allow God to come in and do what he wanted to do? You're going to kick yourself. You're going to be so mad with yourself because you would just still be in that same, oh, I don't know. But anyway, any day now. Any day now. Don't expect to see a process. It will, boom, happen overnight. Don't expect to see what will keep you so stressed out is it's almost like you're looking, you gotta see something. Something has to make sense in the physical realm. So it's almost like you want to see a blueprint, because if you don't see a blueprint of anything, not even the next footstep, you feel like nothing can happen, because it's almost like, how in the world can anything happen? And I don't even see anything around me happening. It's not going to happen like that. It's supernatural. What God has for you is supernatural. So it's going to be something that you never even thought you could do or you could have. It's going to be like, huh? I can achieve this. I can do me. It's all because you answered the call. It's all because even though you're fighting, kicking, and screaming, right, you still didn't go back. You didn't go back to that old temptation, regardless of when your neck was against the wall or up against the wall. Regardless, no, you're back. You're back. Regardless of when your back was against the wall, right? You heard two. Sorry, guys. You heard two voices. When your back was against the wall, you heard two voices. The enemy was telling you, you might as well go back, right? You might as well accept the temptation. I mean, you might as well. You sitting here telling me you're trying to do the right thing, and look around you. You're trying to do the right thing, but where God at, right? He's in your head telling you, you fool. You trying to follow wherever God is taking you, whatever path you claim you feel, whatever light you claim you see that God is telling you to come on, right? And you sitting here, you're broke, you ain't got a car, you ain't got a woman, you ain't got nothing. You sitting here, you better take this temptation. You might as well go back. That's Satan in your head, right? He all in your head. Just petty and loud and wrong. And on the flip side, on the other shoulder, God is in the cut, just chilling. He ain't saying nothing. He just watching you, right? Just watching you. Satan is in your ear. Yap, 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 yap. God is just quiet, chilling, waiting to see what you're going to do. Because your decision in that moment that your back is pressed against the wall, that one decision is going to determine if God is going to take you higher. And when I say higher now, it is just not, let me say, oh, Jesus. If you pass this one test, and somebody has to, because the way my spirit feels right now, somebody has to be in this exact moment right here. But let me tell you, if you pass that test, and this is really going to have to be a faith move, seriously, because there is nothing in the physical realm that will make sense at all. And I mean at all. So this is literally a supernatural faith move. God is watching you to see if you are going to revert back to that temptation. Are you going to listen to Satan and his nonsense, even though at some point you heard God clearly telling you he have a massive life for you. He have due season for you, because you've been through hell and back all of your life, right? But you kept trusting. You ain't been perfect now. You've been slipping left and right, but your heart was pure. He saw the times you've given to people, right? And these same people won't even give anything to you. That you were moving from a heart posture. You were moving from authentic, pure love. He took notes. So you ain't that cute, boo, where he just want to give you. No, these are things that he been watching you over a lifetime. When it seemed as if everybody else right, was climbing and climbing. You were like the underdog, and it's like you're sitting back watching everybody get blessed, and you're just sitting here. But you kept your heart posture right. This is where people keep missing it, especially these religious folks, right? With these feathers on their hats and their black stockings and white church shoes, who want to who want to judge folks because they don't have a uniform, I guess, to look like them in the religion. Child, listen. If your heart posture is right, if your spirit is pure, regardless of your foolishness, right? But your spirit, we're not talking about your character flaws here. God will work on that along the way. Trust me, right? We're talking about your heart is right. Your spirit is pure. There's no dark intentions and like there's just nothing about you that says you're a bad spirit. You're a dark spirit. You've always been the light. Even when you was acting a fool, even when you had a chick on every single corner in the neighborhood, you still had a bright light. You still had a pure spirit. Again, your flesh was in discipline, but that's your flesh. We're talking about your spirit. So because you kept your spirit right, God took notes. This is why when you get to due season and when you get to certain levels, this is why the blessings are so massive. Because it's almost like, well, you think God just bless you with this, or open doors where, like places you're not even supposed to be, or you don't think you're supposed to be there, or it's like you have that moment, that Kairos moment where it seems like blessings are chasing you down. It almost feels like, well, why would I get so many things at one time? It's because those things were adding up all along. So when you think nobody wasn't saying thank you, nobody wasn't grateful, people didn't pay you back when you loaned them, like when you, those things, God took notes. So it's almost like he was taking things and just storing them up for you. I'm having this vision in my head of like I don't even know where this came from, but it's like a Christmas. Okay, so you know, like when you were little, or you may do it to your children now, where you might only put one or two wrapped gifts under the tree, but it's like when the children go to sleep, you're somewhere in your closets, you're in your trunk, you're going to your best friend's house, you done stacked gifts there, and then all of a sudden, when you woke up as a child, or when your kids come down, it's like all these gifts, and it's like, what in the world? Like, I only saw one or two last night. It's almost like that. God takes one gift and just put it there. Put it there. Now, here you are, 107 years old, honey, and you... So, all that stuff, God was saving it for you. All that time, you're a little heartbreaking thinking that, oh, here I am with a good heart, and, you know, people always just step on my good heart, and I just wish I never had this big, beautiful heart, because it's like, we always get last in the race. Honey, you get last in the race? Yeah, well, on the surface level stuff, yeah. But look where you are now, or where you're going, and look at the individuals who took advantage of you. See, you can't, if you're still in that level right now and God haven't elevated you yet, it don't make sense when you pass this test. It will all add. You can't receive it right now, right? Well, hopefully you can, but you will be able to receive it in its entirety when you get to due season. But if you pass this test, you're not going to just be elevated to just one notch. This test right here is major. This one. Now, there are certain tests where you just kind of go, you know, hop one step, hop one step, hop one step. But there are going to be certain tests, like this one you're currently facing, somebody. If you pass this test, it's a one-time no. No, I'm not going back to that. No, I'm not going to answer the call. No, I'm not going back to that sour relationship. No, I'm not doing it. You can say what you want to say. Get up out of my ear, period. I'm going to trust God. It's going to be like, you fool, well, where God at? And again, God is in the cut. Chilling, watching you. And, ooh, child, God may watch you or allow that thing to happen. And listen, I'm not talking about the last hour. I'm not talking about the last minute. I'm talking about the last second. The last second. And Satan's in your ear, right? Calling you all kind of fool. And you're over here like, God, I mean, where you at? I know you got my back, but where you at? Literally the last second. Because see, the reason why you will be elevated more than other times with this is because how much you're being pressed and pressured to the last second. Where other times, it's like, you listen, you know God is going to come through, right? You know God going to come through. But it's not that last second. But if he can build your faith through this process where you can just trust him to the very last second, even though you're sweating and you're buckling and you know these people is on the way to come turn your lights off or whatever, if you can trust him to the very last second, boom, massive elevation. Because if he can trust you at the last second, he can trust you with anything at this point, right? When you had days or weeks to trust him, like, okay, again, you might get one notch up on the belt. But when he pressure you and he push you in the corner like that, to the point where you got to trust him and have that faith, regardless of what you're feeling in your spirit, to the very, very last second, he will put you over some things. Because you've already passed one of the most intense tests. Something's coming back in my head. A couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, one of my patients, actually, it was Jennifer. I was out of town. And now, mind you, I already passed my massive pressure test, right, years prior to that. I was out of town, and one of my weekend staffs called me and told me that Jennifer had a slight fever. So I had her, she would call me, every 4 hours, giving me Jen's vitals, et cetera, et cetera. So things that looked like they were, okay. So anyway, I got back, I flew back in the next day, which was a Sunday. When I got there, Jen didn't look good. She kept saying, well, no, I don't want to go to the ER. I'll just go tomorrow. But my spirit kept saying, no, get her behind there now. Get her behind there now, right? So when I go to get her up, mind you, Jen can walk. She can walk with a walker, but her body was so weak. So fast forward, we got to the ER. It was just she and I at this point. We got to the ER, and you know when those doctors start looking all funny in the face, right? And so the doctors and the nurses were in the room, and they're just looking at. They wouldn't even look at us. They're just looking at each other like, Lord, go ahead, start calling the family. And honey, I am the family. I am the family, but most importantly, our Father is here, period. So we ain't about to sit here and do this, right? You can sit here and be all frantic, but I already had me a test, honey, that pushed me up against the wall and kept me there to the last second. So we ain't about to do that. So now they're looking at Jen and like, we're going to have to rush you to downstairs because your pressure is plummeting and you're just in such and such failure and this failure and that failure and this is failing and this failing. They're freaking out, right? They're freaking out. But when you done had that test to push you up against the wall like that, listen, you didn't know how God come through at the last minute, right? So we're not about to do that. So your girl had just get up off of a plane, right? So I had my holy oil. It was at the house, right? Okay, but I had some lotion. I had some lotion, right? So as they left out the room, right, they're making plans to take her downtown. So I opened the door and I said, excuse me. I said, she's not going downtown. They're looking at me like, what? She's not going downtown, sir. Right? And they were saying downtown as of like wherever they was taking her was almost just like, they ain't no coming back. Honey, we ain't going downtown. We ain't going downtown. So they in there making plans and all this stuff, and I can hear them on the phone. And I always tell people, you got to be careful. When you're in healthcare, your patient's hearing is the very last thing to go. Be careful talking over people. So I can hear them in there telling them, oh, I think, she's this and this, all this other nonsense, right? Honey, I got my oil. Oh, not my oil. Not my oil. I got my lotion, honey. I got my lotion, honey, and I rub my hand. Listen, I could have started a fire with that lotion and the friction upon my hand, honey. And I just call on the name of Jesus, period. The blood of Jesus. And I'm talking about what force and power. And see, this is another thing too on why you got to let God really build you up like that, because you get a power. There's a power and there's a confidence when you know when God have really, really built you in a certain way, right? When you really haven't gone through a lot of storms and allow God to prove himself in your life, it'll be hard to keep your confidence in moments like that. And let's be clear here. It's not to say that certain things won't creep in because we're still human. But the point is, if you get yourself so filled up in the spirit, there's nothing in the flesh, a word or whatever doctors, you're a man just like me. Right? Well, not like you get the point here, right? So it's like that stuff can't even creep into your flesh because you're too filled up in the spirit. So, honey, I done take that lotion. I done lotion my girl down from head to toe, period. Period. Head to toe, period. Boom. You're good. Period. No fear lives here, period. So they came back in the room, right? Oh, well, we have everything set up and you're ready to go downtown, and, you know, they're going to have more equipment, you know, because there's nothing we can do to handle this. This is too such and such, such and such, such and such. And what it was, she had a really, really bad infection. But, so they came back, they hit the buttons to run her number one more time. Puzzled. Now they're looking at each other like, what the heck just happened? What? So they left back out the room, came back in the room. Well, we won't be going downtown. Well, I thought I told you that. I ain't tell them that, right? But I'm saying that in my head, right? We won't be going downtown. In fact, she's still stable, and we just don't know what happened, but we can technically release her. No, that would be great, right? No worries here, but no, we're going to keep her just to, monitor her and just make sure she's good. Ciao. By the time we left out of the ER section and they got us up to a normal room, by the time I'm having a flashback. By the time we got to that fourth floor, every single person on that floor had known what had just happened. In fact, there was an RN that came in the room. Actually, she was assigned to Jen that night. Beautiful lady, blonde hair, blue eyes, beautiful lady, probably in her 50s, early 60s. And she said, we can't really talk too much about religion and such and such, such and such. She said, but when I heard some of the doctors and the nurses talking earlier, she said, whoever's coming up here, that person knows the Lord. Period. We ain't playing those games. If God said it, it is. So I want to encourage you guys. If you're being pressed to the very, very last second, if you pass this test, this one test, you will be elevated where God will put you over so many things for you to steward because he can trust you. Any day now. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.